Okay, are we ready to get started here? So now Kim, do you see we have Sandy on the screen? Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. Melissa, the owner of Nolting. I see a lot of familiar faces here, so welcome here today. What we wanted to do was share a little bit about our classes next week. If you have questions that you want to ask, I have both teachers on the Zoom here this morning, Joyce, that a lot of people are familiar with, and our new teacher, Kim, that is joining Joyce from New York. So we're super excited to have Kim on board for next week. She will be doing all the free motion, and Joyce will be concentrating on the automation classes next week. And then they'll do a combined class on Friday morning. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to introduce the class. And then we'll have each one, Joyce will present a little, or just tell you a little bit about herself, talk about the first class, and then we'll go on to the next class, and Kim will start off with a little bit about herself, so you can get to know her a little bit better, and then we'll just go through each class and feel free to ask them questions to make sure that you know if you want to join the class, that you haven't signed up for it, or if you have additional questions like, hey, what is there something I should bring to the class? Here's your time to kind of get some one-on-one with both Joyce and Kim before the classes next week. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And the first class we're going to talk about is Joyce's class for the IQ, which will be on July 9th. And just a reminder, the classes Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they will all be 8:30 to 4 o'clock. And just make sure that you know whatever class you've signed up for, and we're sending emails. I apologize if you haven't received anything yet. The last couple of days we have had internet issues, so we're still our phones are still not working in our other buildings, or we're up in the factory today or right now doing this. So hopefully Friday everything will be up and going, and Melody will be able to get emails out to everyone so that you have confirmation on where you're going to, what time and what location and what class. So today, first class is the IQ. This class can be done for anyone, regardless of what kind of machine you have. If you have an IQ on your machine, it doesn't have to be a Nolte machine. And this class is at the Legion. So once again, make sure you pay attention to if it's at the Legion Hall or if it's at 1105. So with that, I'll go ahead and hand it over to Joyce. Joyce can share a little bit about herself and the class and what you can all expect.
Okay. Can everyone hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up.
Yes.
Okay. IntelliQuilter is an automation system that goes back a ways. It's a very full program. There are a couple of levels of it, and there are many different things that you can do with it. Lots and lots of editing features. The project that we're going to be doing, I usually just teach a class and we go through different kinds of things. This time I decided to do a project where you're actually going to work on.
Oops. Now we can see it, Joyce. Can you hold it back a little bit? It's blurry.
That's because my face has to be in it. It recognizes faces. All right, so here's the project. It's a small 20 by 20 inch whole cloth quilt. And the very middle part of this, we're going to design the whole thing in class using different features. One of the features is called Path Pattern that can be used for many, many, many different applications in IntelliQuilter. But we're going to design the wreath itself. We're actually going to put pearls between the inside and outer part of the wreath. We're going to put a background around it, which are rays and echoes as well in this center block. The next row out are just standard patterns that you would have in your program, but we're going to do some editing on those, so you'll learn editing features. And then the very outside border, which is a small one, we're again going to use a couple of features in IntelliQuilter to design that. So by creating a project that you can actually quilt when you get home, and because it's a whole cloth quilt, I'll be going over the different ways, a couple of different ways that you can transfer it from your tablet onto a piece of fabric and actually quilt it out. So we'll be talking about how to do a whole cloth quilt on your long arm. So this is the project for IQ. And the features that you're going to be learning, I'm going to cover line pattern, even though it's not used in this, but it's an important feature. Path pattern, echo, fan, no sew zone, clipping block, and several other editing features that we use all the time in IntelliQuilter. And if you're coming to the IQ class, make sure that you bring your tablet because you're going to be using your tablet all day long and your charging cord.
Anything else, Joyce?
Not on that class.
Okay, one question that I do have for you, just to share with everyone, will it mainly be, so if both you and Kim can talk about this, hands-on or mainly a lecture or a combination of both?
This is primarily hands-on. There'll be a little bit of lecture. They'll have a handout with instructions on how to do each of the procedures. And we'll go from there. We'll have the frame and IQ there so that we'll be demoing how to set these different things up on the frame. And so I wouldn't say it's really a lecture. It's, you know, demo and using their tablets, hands-on with their tablets.
Well, thank you, Joyce, and reminder that class is July 9th from 8:30 to 4 at the Legion. And then all the classes that we're going to talk about today, they still have a few seats left. So if you are wanting to sign up for them, go to our website at nolting.com. Class signups are at the top. It says open house classes, and then you can register there. The next one, let's go into the free motion. The free motion quilting is on July 9th too. That one will actually be at 11:05. And I'll go ahead and hand it over to Kim so she can introduce herself to you all and share a little bit about the class with you.
Hello, my name is Kim. I hail from Rochester, New York. But next week I'm coming to Iowa. My husband's going to Ohio for a race. He's a race car driver, among other things. But I'm really excited to teach this class. I love it because whether you do all computerized, or you do all free motion, there's a way to make your background fills blend. There's a way to make it blend with something you're juxtaposed to on applique, or let's say you put one of Joyce's fabulous computerized designs, how to put background fill in that to make it look more custom. We're going to do true free motion, which is no structure. You just start quilting around. And we're going to work a little bit in a framework of free motion with a grid. So that requires a bit of marking. I have some samples to show you. It's a stack, and I'll bring them. And I divide my free motion quilting into two categories. True free motion, which is, you know, the basics would be a meander. Pebbling seems to be really popular, but there's more than just doing circles. You can zhuzh your circles up, put another little circle in it. You can put all kinds of things. We're going to cover that. So whether you're new to free motion or you've been doing this a while and you need to just refresh what you're doing, you're bored of the backfill you choose always, there's something for you. Free motion quilting, all custom work, it makes me tick. For me, quilting is like drawing with thread, but with a really crummy eraser, right? We call that a seam ripper. So I'm excited to come and teach this free motion class that's going to focus on background fills. And it has more than just, okay, I'm doing all custom work. I need backfills to make my designs pop. We can move into IntelliQuilter, which ties into Joyce's class as well.
And I know some of our customers on here are Quilt Imagine customers as well, so it tied directly into using that automation as well.
Yeah.
That Joyce will be teaching other days of the week, so a combination of your class there with the Quilt Imagine classes.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. The format of it is I typically do a little bit of lecture in the beginning. We talk about what we're going to be doing. I'll give you the parameters of the class, when we're going to take a break, when we're going to get a snack, water, all the things. And then we break off onto the machines. I like to break the class up between lecture and hands-on. Nobody wants to stand at their machine all day long with no assistant. I like to think of myself as like a Jiminy Cricket on your shoulder. And my class is where you make mistakes, where you go, okay, I found my thread path, but I can't just get it right. Okay, we can fix that. You got me. So this is the time to make mistakes. We're going to start out with yardage, and maybe, just maybe, you'll have some little patches of free motion design that you can take home and reference, not just a piece of paper, a physical thing. I really like taking classes. I like class environments because it's not often that you set time aside to be creative, that you have someone there coaching you, say, okay, tweak this a little bit, make that a little rounder, make that a little straighter. And then the world starts to get bigger. Your lens gets wider as far as your free motion quilting capabilities. And it's like pulling out a tool out of your tool chest. You just have another design that you're comfortable using.
And do they need to bring anything, Kim, to the class?
At this point, I would say bring a notebook, bring your favorite writing utensil that you can draw with. So if you like to draw with pencil, bring that, bring a pen. It's pretty informal is what you need. And the handout will be pretty informal as well, because I want to spend time talking about the designs in a lecture type situation. There will be a handout and you can mark up on it all you want.
And then we will have, since it's in 1105, a lot of you've seen where we have the classroom in one, and then right beside it are all the machines. So we're getting the machines set up. We'll probably be 2 to 3, it looks like, Kim, per machine. And then it'll be a combination of being able to use the flare, the layer, the diamond. So you'll get a chance to use 3 different machines too, depending on where you select to stand at in the classroom.
Yeah.
Melissa,
So everyone I see, do you all have long arms? Raise your hand, give me a little wave. Do you all have long arms? Yeah. How about you, Sandy? Miss Sandy Waters. Do you have a long arm? I can't see your hand. That's all a digital hand. I love it. So you all have long arms. Are you all comfortable with either digital or are you free motion? I mean, what are you looking for?
I'm digital.
Yeah. Now, do you want to bring free motion into that? Or are you just want to focus in on the digital?
Digital.
Got it. Okay.
I'm brand new to quilting, so I need to learn everything.
Yes.
I've just got a new flare not too long ago, so.
Yep.
You're
Yep.
going to be in the right place. So, Miss Bev, I will look for you next week.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bev, so if you're looking to sign up, just go online, and I think you've signed up for some other classes, but if you want the free motion with Kim, go ahead and pick your seat if you want to.
Okay.
Any
Yeah,
other,
Margaret.
what was that?
Hello, Margaret. A former Rochesterian here. Can you unmute yourself?
No, she's,
Oh, at work.
well, let's go ahead and get started with the next class, Kim, unless you have anything more to share with everyone. If not, I'm going to go ahead, and the next class is July 10th, which would be on Wednesday. That class is at the Legion. with Joyce, and it's Quilt Imagine Basics. So getting started with Quilt Imagine Basics. So Joyce, if you can share a little bit about
I'm doing
what
the
they should
class with
expect
Mel.
from that class and what they should bring to that class.
Okay. So one of the things that has happened to me over the years with the classes, the automation classes that I taught, some of them IntelliQuilter, some of them Quilt Imagine, I always ask the question, how long have you had your system? And some of them come to the class, they have just gotten it or it's on order and they don't have it yet. And then I have other people that say, well, I've had it for a year, 2 years, but I've been afraid to turn it on. And to me, that's a very sad thing because you've made that investment in something that should be a lot of fun. And it's just been sitting there because you're afraid to touch it. You're afraid you might break something. Well, the good news is you're not going to break anything. It might not turn out exactly like what you want to see, but that's part of the learning process. Excuse me a second. There's a couple more people that want to come in. And so the class, this particular class, hi, Margaret. This particular class is meant for people who are just starting out with Quilt Imagine automation. And there's lots of tips and techniques to learn when you do that. And it's all about the language. When you're working with automation, the language is a little bit different. You might think you know what a block is, but in IntelliQuilter, a block means something entirely different. And same with Quilt Imagine, you're thinking in your head about what it means, but in reality, it might mean something else as far as what it means in that particular program. So part of it is learning the language. Well, in this class on Wednesday, the Getting Started class, we're going to go over all of the things that you do to prepare to be set up so that you can dive right in and work with your program and make sure that it's going to function with you. So there's some settings to do on your tablet, some settings in Quilt Imagine so that everything works the way that you want it to work. So that's part of what we're going to do when we get started. And then we're going to go right into the basics of working with Quilt Imagine, which are playing with blocks, setting and stitching blocks, and setting and designing pantographs. So those two basic things are the core of doing automation, blocks and pantographs. And so we're going to spend the rest of the day working on that. So as far as being prepared for the class, when you come, you want to make sure you bring your tablet. We will have, forgot to say this before, but there'll be lots of cords and places that you can plug in. So make sure you bring your charger as well, because you might run out of charge before the end of the day. And bring your questions. I always like to have lots of questions so that, if you have any questions, we can go over those and make sure that we answer your questions before the end of the day. So again, this is a hands-on class. Just to show you something here, this is a table runner, but it always goes, anyway, you can see a block, there's a block. So placing blocks, there we go. We'll be placing blocks, and on this one here, another table runner. This one has a pantograph on it. The basics is what we're going to cover in that first day so that you can become confident when you leave that class, that you can go home and turn your system on, attach it, connect it back up with your frame and your machine, and you can be confident when you get home that you'll be able to do blocks and you'll be able to do pantographs and move on with your automation.
Thanks, Joyce. A couple questions I would have for you on the pantographs. Will you show them or at least go over the difference between like the basic and the pro model so they can see if they do only have the basic, how the
Yes.
difference between the two?
Yeah, one of the things I always cover are the 3 tiers that we have available. And if there's anyone that has QCT or Quilt Path, they're welcome to come to these classes as well, because it's the exact same program. So regardless of whether you have a Nolting machine or you have QCT with another machine or Quilt Path with with APQS, this program is the same. So if you have friends that have that and they need some training, let them know they're welcome to come. So I do cover the tiers that are available within the program and what is similar between them and what is different between them.
Thanks, Joyce. And then, do you also then go over sew in zones versus sew in patterns when you get into pantographs?
Yes, everything is sewn in zones now, and so we will go through not only the design process of pantographs, but actually stitching it out and all the steps that you go through working through sewing a zone.
Okay.
Mhm.
Any questions from anyone out there for Joyce? And we did have a question in the chat. So Judge Jean, hopefully that answered your question. It's from 8:30 to 4 on that Wednesday, July 10th. And okay, it looks like he thought it was an online class. It's actually in person here in Hiawatha.
Yep, and this class is at the Legion. And Melissa, when you say 11:05,
Oh.
those classes are at 11:05 Hawkeye, not
Yes.
11:05.
Okay, not 11:05. That's a good comment, Joyce. So when I said, so free motion for Kim, when I said 11:05, the location is 11:05 Hawkeye. So it's where the storefront is at. This one is at the Legion Hall. Any questions for Joyce? Well, let's go on to the next one. The next one is back to Kim, and that one she'll be doing feathers, and that one is on July 10th. Once again, it's a full day class from 8:30 to 4 o'clock, and that one is at 11:05 Hawkeye Drive as well in Hiawatha. So I will let Kim talk about what she wants what she'll be sharing with you and teaching with you on that day.
Hello, everyone, again. All right, so I do have a sample. I'll bring this with me along with some others. I don't know if you can see this. We're gonna play with feathers, all shapes and sizes. I've got feathers for backtracking. I've got heirloom feathers. We've got long arm feathers, fast and furious to really detailed. We're gonna cover how to loop them, how to swing them around things. I put feathers on a lot of my quilts. I'm kind of known for it. So doing the same feathers all the time, I'd be bored to tears. I would have quit already. So you got to come up with some new ideas to make it fit the personality. So we can get really whimsical with them. We can be long and elegant, and somewhere in between as well. What's really neat is that you can take a feather that you love. Maybe you're a beginner and that's not really working. And we can kind of modify it so that it works for your skill level. And if you're ready to like punch it up and take it to another level, let's do that too. Yeah, so that's feathers. Any questions?
What should they bring to class, Kim?
Notebook and a pen. This one is going to alternate between lecture, drawing in a notebook, drawing the thread path of the feather out before you get to fabric and thread. You want to know where you're going. I have some really neat ideas on filling a block with feathers as well. If you've got it's one that I like to use with those blocks that are all different, but the same fabric, the samplers. I have a favorite way to do that as well. That is no brainer. You can get your custom quilting on and no time at all.
And any particular type of notebook or anything, lines, no lines, bring anything?
I mean, we're not fancy. You
Okay.
can bring a no line, a line. I mean, you can ignore the lines. Seriously, we're quilters. We can ignore some lines.
Anyone have any question for Kim on the feathers class? Okay, let's go on to the next class. The next class we're on Thursday now, July 11th. This one is the Quilt Imagine Advanced class, taught by Joyce, and this one will be at the Legion Hall from 8:30 to 4 o'clock on Thursday, July 11th. So I will let Joyce share about some pieces about that class.
Well, hello again. So the second day for Quilt Imagine, and even though it's listed as advanced, it's advanced techniques beyond the basics, but it's not really what I would call, you've got to have a lot of experience doing it. It just goes on from where we were with the basics. So anyone is welcome to come, even if you're relatively new to Quilt Imagine. There's certainly things here that you'll be able to learn, and it's not going to be beyond what you can do. One of the things about Quilt Imagine, because there is a gold tier, which is a subscription level, not everybody has that, but you want to be able to do custom quilting. Well, the good news is there's a lot of features that we have in Quilt Imagine that we can do custom quilting with. So I'm going to start with those. What kind of features does everybody have that they can use to start customizing their quilt? So these are things that are built right into the program, and we're going to start with those. How do I customize blocks? How do I customize pantographs? How can I change it up and make my pantograph something that is unique and different and not just like the status quo pattern that I start with, that it really looks different? Those are things that we can do and everybody can do. So we're going to start with that. We're also going to take a look at Pattern CAD, which is in the pro level of the program. Now, if you have basic, don't worry about it. You're still welcome to come, because in the program, there's a little button that we can turn on so that you can play with the pro tier and you can play with the gold level. If you don't have gold, we can still turn that on in your program on your tablet, and you have the ability to play in these other tiers that you might not have. So the good thing is you can play with it all you want to. Unfortunately, you can't sew with it. You can't save anything, but in class we can play with it, and you might decide that, someday you want to move on up to that. So we're going to cover these things as well. So Pattern CAD is a design part of the program where you can actually design your own patterns. We can take patterns in and edit them, and we're going to do 3 different exercises in that particular part of the program where we edit existing patterns. And we're going to take one pattern like a block and make it into a continuous line so that you could make that into a border. So some fun things to do. We're also going to take a look at some of the gold features that are available. These are extensions beyond what you have that can make what you do a little bit easier sometimes, and sometimes a little bit better with more precision. So we're going to take a look at that. One of the ones I know that people have heard about, the border and corner feature. Well, this is the time to take the class and learn about the border and corner feature and all the advantages that there are to that. That doesn't mean that we're not going to cover borders and corners how you normally would do without that, but you can be able to see the comparison between doing it without and with the border and corner feature. Again, this is a hands-on class. You bring your tablet, you'll be getting instruction in all of my classes. It's sort of like a classroom situation where you will have notes. There'll be steps to follow in that. I give you most of the steps so that you can do this later on as well. You can go back to your notes and do it. But I walk you through exercises so that you physically design these things on your tablet and you know what those steps are and how to do it. And I think you retain it a little bit better than if you're just sitting there watching. So you bring your tablet and your charging cord. Also in this class, because we're going to be doing a little bit with Pattern CAD, you do need a mouse to attach to your tablet for Pattern CAD. It's too hard to try and touch individual tiny little points on the screen with your finger and to capture things. So you do need a mouse for that. Other than that, a notebook, a willing heart to learn. There's lots and lots of really neat features in QuiltMagine. And I think you will go away with many, many new ideas and excited to put them on your quilts.
Thanks, Joyce. Any questions from
Oh,
anyone
I
out
forgot.
there?
So
Go ahead.
this particular quilt, and you can't see the pattern on it, even if I come up close. Anyway, this is a hexagon. It's a one block wonder quilt. And one of the things that we're going to do with Pattern Cat is when you've got one block wonders along the edge of your quilt, you've got a half of a hexagon block. So one of the exercises that we're going to do is how to get rid of that extra half of the pattern that you don't want. So that's a little activity we'll do. Any questions?
Questions? Doesn't sound like it. We'll go on to the next class then. The next class will be on Thursday as well, July 11th. And this one will once again be at 1105 Hawkeye Drive in Hiawatha. Kim will be hosting this class and it is working with rulers. So I will let Kim take over now and talk a little bit about what you should all expect and what you can walk away with from that class.
All right, so my class is going to be on rulers. I have a sample. I've got a couple actually that I can show you. This one here, I made up using rulers. I don't know how well it shows, but it's a combination of free motion and rulers. I feel like whether you're all free motion or you're digital, there are times you're going to have to stitch in the ditch. I didn't make these rules, but good quilting does require a bit of stitch in the ditch sometimes. I don't like that rule either, but you just gotta go with it. So where do you even begin? How do you hold the ruler? Do you use your left hand? Do you use your right hand? The answer is yes, both. If I were just starting out telling me how to do this, I would say get as familiar with your left hand on that ruler as you are with your right. And we're gonna do exactly that. The other thing is I'm a yoga instructor and I call it long arm yoga, when you only want to use your right hand or your left hand, and how you have to move your body, kind of move your body around the sewing machine so you can stubbornly use just that one hand. We're going to play with that as well, because there's three options. You know, there's not any way is better than the other, but some just make it faster and easier. So maybe I'm stubbornly a right-handed person. I don't want to do anything else. All right, let's work with that. I can work with that. And if you're just wanting to use your left hand, I can work with that too. So anyway, we're gonna make some mistakes. We're gonna hopefully you're gonna get rulers. Oh, that's the other thing too. Wow. Okay, so Linda Herker's rulers. These are my go-to rulers. You're in my studio right now. I'm going to show you what I got on my wall. All right, just to be interesting here. So these are my rulers. These, I don't know if you can see, these are the rulers you're going to be getting. And this one right here, this is my favorite ruler. I wouldn't be teaching this class if it wasn't my favorite ruler. So we're gonna play with them and find out, okay, what makes this ruler better? Why do you pick this one up more often? We're gonna talk about all that, lines on it, marking it. Yeah, we got a whole day to play. So I'm counting the sleeps until I get to go and do all things long arm quilting. Anyone question?
Any questions for Kim?
Yeah, who uses rulers? Raise your hand. Can you give me a little sign? Give me a wig. Oh, yes, Margaret. Yes. All right. Anyone else like rulers that use them? Anyone want to use rulers? I see you, Bev. You raised your hand. Does that mean you're coming? All right. Well, it's gonna be a day full of try this, try that, figure out what works for you. I got a bad right shoulder. All right, well, let's work around that. Let's see how we can make it work for you.
And then everyone will walk away with a set of rulers too. So
Yeah,
that's part of the fee for the class is you'll get a set of 6. Kim picked out the rulers and what she'll be teaching that day. So we have those coming in. So you'll get those when you at the beginning of the class as well.
Yeah.
Same thing with the free motion and feathers. Bring a tablet and something to write with probably.
Yes. The other thing, and I don't know if we'll have them there at 11:05, but a Sharpie. You're gonna mark on your ruler. Yeah, it's okay. They're yours. They're part of the class. So you're gonna write your name on them, number one, so we don't get mixed up. And number two, you can mark on your, I do it all the time. A little bit of isopropyl alcohol takes it right off. So there's ways to do things that you might not think of if you don't try to think out of the box. How can I invested in this ruler. Now I need to use it. I took on that thought when I first started buying long arm rulers, like, oh my goodness, I bought this ruler. Now I need to use it because I spent money on it. And funny thing happens when you need to use something, you figure it out. Yeah, but I can shorten the learning curve. Like, I spent time in front of my machine trying to figure things out, and I'll just tell you what I figured out, and then you get to be the beneficiary of that.
Any questions? Okay, the last day is Friday, July 12th. It's the long arm basics class from 8:30 to 11:30. The classes on Friday actually will be, both classes will be in Hiawatha. So 1105 Hawkeye Drive, Hiawatha. So I will let Joyce share a little bit about what she's looking at for that class.
Okay, so you said that this will be at Hawkeye, right?
Right.
No, okay. So one of the things that's different about long quilting from your home sewing machine is that you're standing up, of course, probably, and working around the frame. One of the biggest questions, there's several big questions that I have gotten, and when I've taught even automation classes, one of the things that I found is many times people don't even know how to load the quilt properly. So that is one of the things that we're going to go through is how do you get your quilt sandwich ready? How do you load it on the frame so that you have the right kind of experience? What things are important when you load it on the frame so that you get the results and the outcome? One of the things about long arm quilting, especially if you're using automation or if you are using paper pantographs, is you have to load your quilt square with a frame. If you don't, those things, you won't be happy with them. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about taking care of your machine and your frame, what things you need to do. Nolting is very simple to take care of, so that doesn't take a lot of time out of our day to talk about that. We'll talk, I'm going to have Kim talk a little bit about the hand-guided basics. So she's the hand-guided person here, getting started with hand-guided, not necessarily going into all of the things that she does in her classes, but there's some basics on doing hand-guided quilting. And then the big question on tension. Everybody has tension questions because at some point, one point or another, we run into an issue, is it the top, is it the bottom? Do I need to do something different winding my bobbin? What are some of the issues that happen and how can we solve those? And a lot of times it's because we are proactive and we work ahead of that to know what to do so that we don't run into those issues. So we'll be talking about that. And I'll be going through my top 10 tips for perfect tension. So you don't want to miss that.
Thanks, Joyce. Any questions from anyone?
I think someone asked, where's the best place to fly into? I think that was one of the questions that came out.
Cedar Rapids Airport. So CID is in the airport, or the CID is our code. And if you're looking at places to stay, there's a couple places. There's a Days Inn that's really popular. It's on Blairsbury Road, And then on Collins Road, there's several different places, the Radisson. Actually, I just booked someone there today, has some pretty good rates going on. So that's a place that you could stay at. There's a Hilton Garden or a,
Holiday Inn.
Holiday Inn Express on that road too. That was considerably more than the Radisson when I booked it today. Otherwise the Days Inn is right beside a Mexican restaurant. So a lot of people like that so that they can go right over to the Mexican restaurant, and it's convenient. It's really close. It's the closest hotel to our, to the store and to the Legion. If you have any questions, Margaret, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Unfortunately, our phone is still not working, but if you email us, we can help you out through email if you need some help with anything.
Where, excuse me, where's the nearest quilt shop that we could get to during our break?
Joyce is probably inspired to sew, isn't it? I don't know if you've been over there.
I don't know. There are some cool shops around, but
There's Inspired to Sew, I think, is the closest one.
you know,
Okay.
That's right, Melissa.
Is it? Okay, thanks.
I
I'm
just
coming from
pipe
Cedar
in just a
Falls.
sec?
Where do I turn off of 380 to get onto the Legion? I would take the same exit as when you're coming to Nolting. So I would take the Boyson Road.
Mhm.
And then and we'll have, do we have the address on the Legion address on the website? We'll put it in our email. We'll put watch for the emails to come out, because if you're signed up for a class, we're going to be sending out reminder emails. So the address for the Legion will be in there as well.
Could I just make a comment?
Sure.
Well, I've known both Kim and Joyce for quite some number of years from back when we were together, and I have personal experience with learning from Joyce because she was my Nolting dealer and my IntelliQuilter dealer. And the idea of being able to take classes from Kim, who is an absolutely fabulous free motion quilter, it's like I might actually come from Colorado to do that. So if you're on the fence, I think we could learn a lot from these ladies. So my 2 cents.
Thank you, Margaret. I appreciate that. And I'm sure Kim and Joyce appreciate that too. And by the way, there is someone coming from Colorado to take classes that week, someone that just got a new machine and quilt Imagine. So she's coming to join Joyce's classes for a couple of days as well. And then the last class is on July 12th in the afternoon. Once again, it's at on Hawkeye Drive in the storefront. And that class is going to be a combination of myself and Joyce and Kim. And I believe Joyce and Kim, I think you requested if people want to bring in some quilts that they're kind of having some difficulty in figuring out what should I quilt on this pattern? Can you help me out? That's going to be part of it. And then I'm going to take you through really what we're calling the Nolting tour. And it's a way to be able to go through a little bit of what Nolting's about. I know most of you, I believe, have our machines, but if you don't, it's a way to get to know us a little bit more. And we're also going to be demonstrating all our new electronics, the Flare, the Lara, the Diamond, and it's a chance to also do, Joyce will help us with some stuff on the IQ and the Quilt Imagine. And a chance for you really to have the afternoon to play on the machines. Versus the open house, you can play on the machines on Saturday. It's just a lot busier. So in the afternoon, on Friday afternoon, will be your chance to be able to play on the machines, ask more questions to myself, Joyce, and Kim on various things too. And that class is free. But it is really for people that are looking to, like I said, try to get some advice on their quilt tops. And then also people for looking to upgrade, purchase the new machine, to really try out some of the new electronics in the storefront. Any questions on that class? If not, if there's hopefully that everyone found out a little bit about something of a class that maybe you already signed up for and you want to know a little bit more about it, or maybe a class that you were kind of on the fence and trying to know a little bit more about what Joyce and Kim would provide in that class and teach everyone about that class. And hopefully this gave you a little bit more information on these classes. There's still some open spots, so you can go directly to our website, nolting.com. Class, I think it says open house classes at the top. Click on that. All the classes are listed and you can sign up there. And then hope to see everyone next week. Kim and Joyce, do you have anything last minute shares that you want to share with the group as well?
I'm excited to be a part of this.
Yeah, I've been hoping for years to have someone like Kim come in and she, like Margaret had said, Kim and I have known each other for a long time. We started long arm quilting at the same time and joined the same club and decided we needed a long arm group in there. So we kind of grew from our baby steps to where we are today together, only in a little bit different directions, me with automation and Kim with hand guided quilting. And so I'm really excited for Kim to be able to come and share her expertise with people because she's a fantastic quilter. And I always love coming out and teaching as well. So looking forward to it.
Well, thank you. Well, we look forward to everyone next week. Safe travels to Kim and Joyce and anyone that's flying in or driving in. We'll see everyone next week. Give us a call. Like I said, our phones, unfortunately right now, today again, with the storm last night, we're having some issues between the two buildings. Hopefully we'll be back up and running on Friday. And then the store will be open from 8 to 2 on Friday. If anyone needs to come in, others will be open all next week. And we will see you then. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the 4th.
you.
Happy holiday.
Thank
Happy
you.
4th.
Happy
Thank you.
4th.